Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Wayne's World. And we are back with another video. NFL draft is tomorrow. So you know what we gotta give to you guys tonight. Gotta go ahead and give you guys the mock draft, my mock draft of what I see happening, the way I think this draft should go. So, got some moves we'll definitely want to go ahead and make. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started right into this video, man. Let's get right into this video. You know why you're here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and start the draft. Shout out to PFF with their mock draft simulator. Couldn't speak right there, but go ahead. Bryce Young, right off the bat. I know there's been a lot of news and a lot of talk about, you know, CJ Stroud potential being the one overall pick, but at the end of the day, I think the best position for the Panthers, if you're not gonna go with Bryce Young, I mean CJ Stroud, you might as well go with Bryce Young. So I got Bryce Young. Next, second overall pick, I have the best player in this draft, in my opinion. QB, wide receiver, center, defensive lineman is their needs. We're okay with that. We're gonna build this team. We're going to build this team out. We're going to start by building a strong foundation. And if you want to build a strong foundation, you start with a very important position, and that is defensive line. And you get a future Hall of Famer, somebody that I think will be the best player in this draft class, Jalen Carter. I understand off the field issues. I understand everything that's going on. But when you turn on the film, it does not lie. This guy is the best. The best. So Kyler Murray has been saying he wants some offensive lineman. He's been begging for it, wanting it, need it. Unfortunately, Kyler Murray, I don't think this pick stays with you all. And this is where I'm going to do my trade to what team we're going to trade with the Commanders. We're going to get this year's first, next year's first, and this year's second. Actually, we're going to do this year's third. So this year's first, this next year's first, a third, probably throw a fourth round pick in there, and then they get this year's fifth round pick. So in this trade, we got the first round pick. So I'll make this a third round pick that is a conditional that can become a second round pick upon some conditions. I got to think of the conditions. They get this year's third round pick as well. In return, we get this year's fourth round pick. So we're going to offer the trade, and PFF said the trade works. So the Washington Commanders move up. The reason why I'm doing this move is because there's just been a huge ownership shift within the Washington Commanders franchise. And usually in sports, when that happens, that means they want to shake some things up. So if you're not going to go get a Lamar Jackson, which I don't think that's going to happen anymore, then you go ahead and you go out and you go ahead and trade up in the draft and you pick who, in my opinion, will end up becoming the best. Actually, no, not this pick. But this guy is probably the most pro-ready quarterback that you can get. And the reason why I had the Texans selecting Jalen Carter because I believe Bryce Young was the guy they wanted this entire time. And because they're not going to be able to get him, they might as well fortify their defense. So with doing so, we are going to go ahead and select CJ Stroud. Get at Ohio State with some other Ohio State guys, some other Big Ten guys he can throw to. I think with that receiving core, that running back committee crew, I think they are really well off. I understand we do need some guard help, do need some center help. We still have a second round pick where we can go ahead and make some things work there. Next on the clock, Shane Steichen turned Jalen Hurts into one of the best quarterbacks in the league, an elite quarterback. And he was able to do that within 2 years. Now you get somebody that, in my opinion, coming out of college is more talented than him, stronger arm, bigger running threat. You can do similar things and have some similar success. So I'm going to go, if you can hear the way I'm talking, I am going to go with Anthony Richardson being drafted to the Colts. It just makes too much sense with who Shane Steichen had last year, the offense that he's going to want to run. It just makes too much sense. Next, needs for the Seahawks. They need a guard, a center, and a defensive lineman. To me, this makes too much sense right here. And I can't believe he's going to fall this low, but I do think he's going to fall this low. And I have to go with Will Anderson that needs some help, needs some pass rush help, and I think Will Anderson can definitely provide that to them. Next, we have the Detroit Lions. They need a wide receiver, tight end, defensive, interior defensive lineman. Now I'm looking at this right here, or just to me, this says DI, so I'm defensive interior, and I don't want to go Dalton Kincaid this high. I don't think he's worth that. I still don't think JSN is worth that high of a pick as well. And I don't think Nolan Smith is worth that as well. But I do think Kalaji Kansi can potentially be worth it. I still think it's really, really high for me. Really, really high for me, right? It's really, really high for me, right? I think it's still a little bit too high for me. But, oh man, this is hard. This is hard. I want to see what I want to do. This is tough right here. This is really, really tough. So I'm just gonna throw a wrench in here. I'm going to throw a wrench in here. And this is what we're gonna do. We are going to have the Tennessee Titans trading the 11th overall pick to get this 6th round pick. They're also going to trade next year's second and also this year's second. Ooh, that's going to be tough on them. I'm not going to do this year's second. This year's third. So swapping picks, next year's second, that's a conditional that could potentially become a first round pick, and this year's third. They're not interested in trading for this pick. Interesting. Is that what they're saying? And we give them. All right, maybe I have to suck it up here and draft a player. And I don't want to go Kalaji Kansi but I think it makes the most sense now. PFF is telling me it doesn't make sense for them to trade for the 6th round picks. I mean, they wanted one of these 3 guys. So, and I agree, I wouldn't trade it for Will Levis either. So with that being said, Kalaji Kansi, you are a Detroit Lion. Next up, QB, offensive lineman, defensive interior DB. If anybody watched the Raiders, you know their biggest issues were their defense. And even though this PFF has Devin Witherspoon as the best DB, I still think Christian is probably one of the better DBs. And I also think the Raiders think that as well. So with that being said, we are going to go with Christian Gonzalez. Atlanta Falcons, I'm not believing the hype that they are trusting. Not believing the hype at all that they are trusting. They are trusting in Desmond Ridder. So with that being said, I want to see something here because I also didn't have this guy selected yet. Why is Tyree Wilson so low? Maybe I am believing the hype. Maybe I am believing the hype. And I just really like Tyree Wilson. So with that being said, Tyree, you are an Atlanta Falcon. Now the Chicago Bears are on the clock. And the question is, do we want to bolster our defense or build a strong foundation around our quarterback, whose offensive line suck? And I think we build a strong foundation and we go Peter Skoronsky. Next, you have the Atlanta Falcons. And this one is very interesting to me right now. Because we could go safety, but that's too high for Brian Branch. We could go guard center. But is that too high for Osiris? Let's shake some shit up in this draft. Let's make us a really hard unit to stop. We got Devontae Smith on the outside, AJ Brown on the outside. Let's fortify our receiving core, and we're going to go ahead and get JSN. Let's go ahead and do that. Now, this says receiver O-line, but we all know that they're over whoever their quarterback is. And this is smart by PFF. So why would we trade to scoot up to get this guy when no one else is going to get him? So this is where we have Will Levis getting selected. Now, QB, wide receiver, center, defensive lineman. With our first pick, we already got Jalen Carter. Now, with this next pick, I think we still continue to fortify our defensive line. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and select Jalen Carter's. Ooh! Do we go Nolan Smith or do we go Miles Murphy here, guys? I'm thinking we go Miles Murphy. Let's show more. Let's show more. What do we say? Pass rush grade, run defense grade, true pass set, rush set grade, pass rush win rate is 14.3, run stop rate is 16.2. Right? Now we're gonna go ahead and look at Nolan Smith. Pass rush win rate and run stop win rate is higher. Do we put the Georgia boys together and fortify this defense, who is already a freak athlete? We know that. But the thing is, we're probably going to run a 4-3 scheme, right? We're probably going first look. Listen. 6'2", 238. Can he be our 4-3 defensive end? I do not think so. Now we take a look at Miles Murphy. Ooh, I'm getting excited. Now we take a look at Miles Murphy. This is 6'5", 258. This is our 4-3 defensive end. We get Miles Murphy and we get Jalen Carter and we fortify this defensive line. And the Green Bay Packers are now on the clock. We don't need a quarterback. And we don't need a receiver, in my opinion. I mean, JSN is gone, so that would have been the pick for us, right? Tight end, D-line, safety. I think this is the time where we go ahead and get Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, nice weapon for the Packers. Nice weapon for Jordan Love. Safety valve. Let's go ahead and get Dalton Kincaid. QB tackle Ed Rush. So the Patriots defense is always going to be good. We know this. It's always going to be good. Do we think we bolster? Woo! Woo! Patriots run a different front. Nolan can really be scary here. But we could use offensive linemen too. Bill is a defensive guy. So I'm going to go with a defensive guy. We're going to get Nolan Smith. And then this is right here, perfect for the Jets. They just get him. Let's get protection for our new pick. So we're going to go ahead and get Paris Johnson. And now with that being said, Cardinals have a pick. And let's see. Let's look at our pick. So right now we have the 6th and we got 34. We need a guard or a center. Or we can use a defensive lineman. Or a cornerback. And I think this is where Devin Witherspoon goes. Now, this is my Pittsburgh Steelers. Woo! And I think, who are the tackles left here? So we got Broderick Jones left, Darnell Wright left, Anton Harrison left. Right, and now let's go look at these other teams. We have the 32 pick. What other teams need offensive linemen? The Bucks. The Dolphins forfeited their pick. Offensive tackle. One of these offensive tackles are going to be here. But we got to go with former Steelers legend son, Joey Porter Jr. He's there. We're going to go ahead and get him. Now we are at offensive line. The Lions. They need a receiver, tight end, or interior defensive lineman. With our first pick, we got Kalaji Kansi. So now let's go get his former teammate and get Jordan Addison. Now the Bucks. They need a QB, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, safety. I think at this time we do need some offensive line help. Let's go ahead and get Broderick Jones. Guard, center, defensive lineman. So with our first pick, see what the Seahawks did with their first pick. We got Will Anderson. With the 20th pick, do we want to go ahead and get Osiris? I think we have no choice but right here to go get Osiris. Next, pick 21. With the receiving core, we need receiver, linebacker, DB. Do we get Deontay Banks? Do we get Quentin Johnson? But Zay Flowers is right there. I think we go ahead and get Zay. And because Zay was taken, I think let's go look at the receivers left. So the receivers that are left, Josh Downs, Nathaniel Dell, Jalen Hyatt. Now we just got Odell, but I do think we need more receiver help. I do think it's a little too early to get Josh Downs, right? But now we're going to look at edge rushers. Do we get a Luke Van Hess? Let's look at cornerbacks. Do we get a Deontay Banks? And I think we stay home when we get Deontay Banks. Now here, to me, this makes so much sense to go ahead and get Quentin. And then here, to me, this makes so much sense to me. Guard, center, edge, DB. And to me, we have Trevon Walker, we have Josh Allen. So to me, DB may be a bigger need for us. And the guard, center, no one is really pushing the envelope too much for me to say, yeah, I'm going to go out of my way and select them. So with that being said, we are going to go ahead and select. Ooh, this is tough. But I think we're going to go ahead and go with Emmanuel Forbes. And then for the Giants, Brian Branch is the obvious pick here. I don't think anybody else is worthy. And this is where the first running back of the draft, Bijan Robinson, go ahead and get selected. And now this gets a little tough. So we need interior defensive lineman, linebacker, cornerback. And we do have somebody here. Brian Breesy is where this is where he's going to land up, and he's going to end up with the Buffalo Bills. The Bengals get Michael Mayer. And here we go. Defensive lineman, cornerback. Luke Van Ness, big physical guy. We like to run a 3-4 scheme. So we're going to get the guy that is, I believe it's 6'5", 272. Learn from some veterans. But do we want him or do we want Will McDonald? I think at the end of the day, we want Luke. So we're going to go ahead and get Luke. With the 30th pick of the draft, the Eagles will select So we just lost stuff. So we just lost some people. Do we get Schmitz? Well, we could have got Cam Smith here. Let's see who we want to do with right here. We got a receiver already. Do we need guard, center, defensive? Oh, what am I doing? Right here, we're getting Mozzie Smith. Gotta replace Javon Hargraves some way, somehow. And we had a nice 3-man rotation with Hargraves, Davis, and Fletcher Cox. Now we add Mozzie to the mix now. Receivers. We're gonna go ahead and select somebody that's a burner, has some speed, because we got guys that can run routes in Sky Moore. We got guys that can run routes in Kadarius Toney, but we don't have somebody that can take the top off the defense. And Jalen Hyatt is a guy that could go ahead, deep ball threat, that can really, really look at this elite speed. Jalen Hyatt to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I'm going to do the 32nd pick because, to me, it's still 32 picks in the draft. So we're going to do the 32nd pick, even though this is moving on to day 2. 32nd pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers will select Darnell Wright. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of my first 32 picks mock draft. I will be doing a Steeler one as well. And those are really the picks I want us to get. So we'll see how far it goes. But till next time, my name is Wayne, and I go crazy.